you're all having a fantastic day. Today I'm excited to welcome Ray Girgenti, CEO of PERKii, for a quick Q&A. We're essentially going to dive into what PERKii is all about, their mission, and the scope of their latest $1 million wholesale fundraising campaign with VentureCrowd. So let Ray go into further details about PERKii, but it's a fantastic consumer goods company with the patented probiotic component to it. So they're tackling the world's health gut issues one innovative sip at a time. After a successful round with VentureCrowd in 2021, PERKii is back for more funding to grow and make an even bigger impact. So let's get over to the questions. G'day, Ray. How's it going, mate?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. I had a really nice weekend. What have you been up to, Ray?
Well, working hard. My life revolves around making this business a success, so that takes a lot of time out of my life, and not much time for golf, I can say that.
Not much time for golf. Fair enough. All right. Well, I'm just going to go through here, Ray. I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions, and just to kind of get the ball rolling, I'll just start with some things light. So, on a personal note at the moment, how's everything going for you? What have you been up to in that field?
Like I said, just making this business a success. I've honestly, it's a full-time job. It is most definitely a full-time job, but look, it requires a lot more hours than your normal 9 to 5. But I enjoy it, I embrace it now, and I just look to make this a success. I can't say it enough times. I've been here for over 8 years now, and I've been in every different role, and I guess this has now become my hobby and my job, obviously. But yeah, I'm pretty competitive, so I want to make this win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you mentioned that you've kind of come through the business from almost an untraditional approach. So starting in that kind of sales role there, can you just go through a little bit about that?
I did. So I actually I came into PERKii in 2017 after a stint in the oil and gas sector. I had a background in law, and I just wanted to change it up, and I applied to PERKii in the sales. I think it was a state sales role at the time, and I got the job. I did very well in my first 2 or 3 years as a state sales manager. I brought on numerous accounts. I think by the end of it, I had about 900 to my name that I personally built in Queensland and Western Australia.
Yeah.
And then there were changes within the business, and I moved up to a national role, and started managing more corporate retail accounts, travel retail, etc. Still managing my food service and route accounts. And then we had another change in the business, and I moved into the logistics role or supply chain role. And again, I don't say this to big note myself, but I reduced the costs in that, and I got that part of the business performing well. And I also at the same time was helping out with the production of PERKii. And when I say production, I mean the actual encapsulation in the labs of the technology. So I got a really good understanding of what it takes to make this product and the equipment we use to make it. And then from there, we had another step change. A few people left the business, and I went back into sales, but as the head of sales this time. I brought on, I got another 3 or 4 SKUs ranged into Coles. Managed to do quite well there also. And in November last year, I took on the role of CEO at PERKii. And it's been, I won't say smooth sailing. There's always trials and tribulations in these businesses. But look, it's been quite good. Been on budget and in F25. And I can't complain with how the team has responded to my taking over the role. And now just looking to get it going and make it a success.
That's excellent, Ray. I love it. All right, I'm going to go more into kind of a formal format now, some of these questions. So from the top here, what problem does PERKii solve, and how do you and PERKii solve that uniquely?
Look, as far as solving a problem, I guess we need to look at what we're actually selling here. So the probiotic market itself, I know the most recent estimates are around 77 billion globally, and that encompasses all different types of probiotic carriers. So your supplements, your beverages, et cetera, et cetera. Now, for the time being, we have been focusing on the beverage sector. Within beverages, you've either got dairy or you've got fermented kombuchas. Now, they both come with their own challenges as far as shelf life. Now, kombuchas have a little bit longer shelf life, but there's a bit of a difference there. They're not necessarily always live probiotics, and they don't know what's the stated amount in the bottle. The dairy side tends to be shorter shelf life, but they are fermented probiotics, a live cell. So yeah, there was a shelf life challenge and also a survivability challenge once it hit the stomach. So it's well noted that once live cell probiotics hit the stomach or highly acidic environments, the probiotics are actually destroyed. So we developed an encapsulation technology to shield these probiotics, to one, stop them fermenting, and to also help them survive against the stomach acid. So I guess in a little bit sciencey terms, it's a pH sensitive coating. It surrounds the probiotics themselves. When it hits a highly acidic environment, it shrinks in a basic sense. Once it hits a more basic environment, like the lower intestine where they survive, it expands and releases the probiotic cell. So yeah, look, from that, we developed a carrier, a low sugar, fun tasting carrier. And yeah, we essentially solved the short shelf life and the deliverability of probiotics to the lower intestine with this one piece of technology.
Excellent. That's awesome. Now, how big in your, I guess, terms is the market opportunity for PERKii? And what kind of growth potential do you see? I know that the market is absolutely huge for this kind of thing. What makes you think that, you know, taking this product overseas, it's going to kind of grow as well as it has in Australia or more?
In the markets where we've decided to approach overseas, being Southeast Asia, probiotics are kind of a traditional, well, what I say, way of keeping healthy. So we expect that our products will be well accepted because they've only ever been accustomed to fermented kombuchas and dairy. So we'll be something unique in the market, as we were in Australia. We currently command about 7 or 8% of the market in Australia. So, you know, we hold our own. We don't have a lot of products on the shelf. We can develop a number of products, and it's all about going into these international markets with our champion products, obviously, the ones that have done really good in Australia, but also testing what the consumer over there wants. You know, if they want something a little bit different, well, it's not out of the realm of possibility that we can make that. The encapsulation technology allows us to do so many things: mask taste profiles, you know, stop fermentation, lower sugar content. It's very versatile. So yeah, as far as giving a number on what we expect to get, it's really hard, and I don't want to be misleading about it. It's, you know, the market, the APAC region's valued at about 32 billion, and now that includes Australia also. But the fastest growing market globally is actually Southeast Asia, or the Asian part, but Southeast Asia is a big driver of that. And it's driven because of rising economic status. You know, as their economic value increases, products like ours become more appealing.
Gotcha. So what I kind of heard you say there is that, you know, you've got your patented tech and technology as well, and the kind of sky's not the limit in terms of putting it into a drink. You can use that for other things as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't want to get too into that because it comes with its complications. But we, you know, we can possibly do some foods also, without giving away too much and going into it too far. You know, we work on these things in the background. I like to try and under promise and over deliver. So yeah, I'd be giving away my secret sauce if I started getting into that stuff.
No, that's fair enough. All right, cool. And how does your business model work? And what's your revenue strategy, right?
So look, our business model works. We're essentially able to access two revenue streams of PERKii with the technology. Now, we've got the tried and tested, which is direct sales to consumer. And that comes in the form of creating the finished good or the drink, we'll say, delivering it to our distributor partners to take out to, route consumers, food service, corporate retail and the likes, and also direct sales to the major retailers. So we distribute directly finished products to their distribution centers, and from there they just take it out to all their stores. That's our main revenue stream. It's a proven model, and that will be the model I will look to take internationally. There's second potential revenue stream, which we don't utilize at the moment, and it probably hasn't, and that's probably because it hasn't gained any international exposure, is the sub-licensing of the probiotic technology. Now, we would be more than open to sub-licensing it to non-competitors in non-dairy, dairy, foods, anywhere they would like to see it go.
Is that something that's gained much traction?
We haven't pushed it too much. So no, I will say, but it is something that I have been in the background putting the feelers out, making different companies aware that this technology exists. Because we are still a small player. When you're a small player like us, you're not really that well known. And part of my strategy of going international is getting in front of some of these really big brands and going, hey, look at us, guys. We can do things that you can't. You want us?
Yeah.
I like
that.
It's driving sales without putting a sales team into the market.
Yep. Gotcha. All right. And what key milestones has PERKii achieved so far? So just kind of some key things that have taken us on that journey.
Look, key milestones for PERKii would be the execution of our strategy. So we've gone through 4 phases of our strategy to date. So from 2015 to, I'll say, the end of 2024. Now, stages 1 to 3 involved the development and scaling of the probiotic encapsulation technology, so that we could, one, be sure that we can scale this product if demand requires it, and then 2, how do we do this? We had to figure out early on what the carrier would look like to take this to people, and it had to be appealing and fit into a health market, which is where we play. The second phase of that was market entry, and refining our brand positioning and how we needed to communicate this to consumers. We're a different product on the market. Education is key in this area, but we really wanted to know, with the funds that we had, how do we most effectively do this? And we think we achieved that domestically. We figured out what works, what doesn't. And it started to pick up traction a little bit. Then we started in our third phase conducting more market testing. So we explored what types of products people were open to in different channels. And for example, what's an example? An example of that might be shots. Now, shots had become a big thing in the last few years, but we were thinking about that back then. We hadn't developed it. We developed other products, but shots was one of those things that we saw in the future. Hey, look, this might be a good thing to do. So we're just refining for our markets. And then we come into phase 4, which was our market acceleration phase, and we started going out to the big retailers, taking on bigger distributors, etc., etc. And we went, our sales started really increasing strongly. We went into Coles, Woolworths, some big airport retail accounts, Sombrero. We've been through them all: Coles Express, Ampol, Costco's, IGA's. And look, they all come with their trials and tribulations. There are challenges with margins, etc., etc. But what we did was we proved that we work in all of these retail channels. It was just, when COVID hit, we suffered a little bit in some of those areas, but our biggest revenue drivers, the major retail sector, actually excelled, which is what kept us going forward.
Gotcha.
So look, to answer your question, we've been through 4 phases, and now we're about to attempt to enter number 5, which is market expansion. Oh, sorry, international expansion, I should say.
Excellent. That's super exciting. Now, I guess all of those things, it must take a fairly big and exciting team to kind of get that done. So I'll ask a question just about who's kind of on your founding team, what strength they kind of bring, and just kind of a little bit of a broad sense of, who's there helping you.
Um, Look, I want to address this question by first going right back to the start of PERKii. Now, PERKii was developed at the University of Queensland, and there were three founders of the technology itself. There was Professor Besh Bhandari. Now, he's a renowned food processing engineer, multiple fellowships, and he specializes in micro-encapsulation, food processing stability, and 3D printing, or 3D food printing, I should say. So he was the lead in this product. There was Dr. Lai Tran, whose expertise are in microbiology and biotech. She has over 40 years of experience in probiotics, and she specialized in the lactobacillus strain, which is what PERKii contains. And she's also got numerous publications and patents out on the market at the moment. I say out on the market. That's my sales brain going. Publications on record at the moment. And then finally, there's Dr. Sue Hung. Now, Dr. Sue is a PhD in food engineering. His expertise are in micro-encapsulation of bioactives and probiotics. And we actually got Dr. Sue to come into PERKii in 2019, and he's now our technical and innovation manager within PERKii. So yeah, it's really beneficial to the business to have one of the founders still present, because he's any problem we have, he can generally fix it. Anywhere we want to go with innovation, he can generally create it. So yeah, look, as far as the founding team and having one of those on board, I think it puts us in a really strong position. Now, if we talk about the team of a whole, we've got a really good team. We cover all the areas of sales, production, supply chain, or logistics. And there's also Sue, technical, and we've also got a CFO, although part-time. So I gave a bit about myself at the start. I've been with the business for 8 years now. I've been across multiple roles. And yeah, I came in to the CEO role, sorry, in November of last year. And yeah, look, it's been a really good experience. And I still dabble in sales a little bit because, that was how I got into this, and I really enjoy it. And you can never push sales hard enough. Anyone who says sales aren't important, well, I beg to differ. We've got a head of sales. She's got 20 years of experience in sales, but more importantly, she's got experience dealing with international sales and also domestic sales. And she's worked with Coles and Woolworths for a large part of that time. So bringing that into the business, it was quite seamless, and it helped a lot during the transition of myself into the CEO role, because as you can imagine, it was pretty frantic at that time for myself, taking on one role, letting go of another role, finding someone new for that role. But look, it's been good, and yeah, she's doing a good job. And then I think it's important to note that we've got Sue on board still, or Dr. Sue, I should call him. So look, between myself, Leanne, and him, and our marketing team, once some new trend is identified, or we notice, what would I say, a market or a segment growing within the store, we all put our heads together, and Dr. Sue seems to be able to come up with a solution. So it's a good team. We work well together, and yeah, I think the business is in safe hands. But that's me.
Excellent. That's awesome. That's great to hear. Now, what's your approach to customer acquisition, and how's your cost per acquisition shaping up?
Our approach to customer acquisition, I think I touched on it a bit earlier, is really in two ways. So we use direct customer acquisition, where our sales will go to the stores directly, such as, the big retailers, Coles and Woolworths, and we will take those on board ourselves. And there's a number of reasons for that, but the main driver of that is you cut out a margin expectation from someone in the middle. You cut the middleman out, and we're the best ones to explain our product. So we didn't want to risk someone else going in on our behalf. So we approach the big retailers in Australia. Outside of that, we got on board with some really reputable distributors early on, and they built our food service and the route market, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the reason I talk about the domestic market is because it proves to work. It seems quite basic now. You think, oh yeah, cut out the middleman. But, when we first started, well, how do we even get these? We just looked at the numbers and went, you know what? We have to do this. This makes the most sense. We'll drive the most revenue or profitability out of this. So yeah, look, this is the way we do it. So our decisions are often financially driven. And I'll look to take these models into an external market because I know they work, but it'll probably be a little bit more weighted towards using well-known, well-established distributors in other markets. Now, I have gone out to market to find these distributors already, and we are already in talks with them. It's not like we're waiting for, the capital to come in. It's already happening. I'm also getting them to hook me up with bigger customers over there. So I do have inbound interest from several markets, but we need to focus on what we really want to chase here. I can't be, because of our limited resources, I can't be going, India. I want to go to India too, but I don't have the resource to really spread across 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 countries. So we're focusing on Southeast Asia at the moment. And look, I've worked out our customer acquisition in Southeast Asian region to be about $250 per SKU per customer. Now, it's broken down a little bit differently over there. You pay per SKU as you go in. It's called a listing fee. In Australia, you don't pay per SKU. Well, you do, but it goes in the form of marketing. So I broke it down on a SKU basis, and it's around $250 per SKU per customer in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, awesome. And kind of following on from that, and more of a financial question, what positions PERKii kind of in financially right now, and how are you planning to use those new funds from this particular raise?
So look, from a financial perspective, I guess if I look at what would I say, our market acceleration phase, because I could give you from day dot in 2015 and compare it against now, and I know for a fact we've got about 219% growth plus. But that's not realistic. So if I look from around 220, the end of F20, sorry, which actually coincides when the last raise with VentureCrowd happened, we have actually grown of net revenue from 2.3 million to, at the end of F24, was 4.2 million. So we've had some really good growth, and that's net. Our cash burn over the last 6 months has been actually, I know this number spot on. Actually, it was 107,000 over the last 6 months. So since that time, or since the last raise with VentureCrowd specifically, we've actually reined in our costs considerably. I can't give you a number on what that number came down from, unfortunately. But yeah, we're looking good. We're not, what would I say? We're not just throwing money away anymore. Well, not that we ever were, but it's been reined in a lot.
Yeah.
Look, based on raising the full amount of capital through VentureCrowd and that cash burn rate that I've told you, and the successful execution of the budget which I put together. And look, I'm a conservative person, but that's I leave that for others to judge. But we're expecting with just our international sales to add another 850,000 in gross revenue. Cash, I do a 2-year budget. I don't see it running out. On $1 million, no, not even close. And yeah, I'm expecting at least by the end of F26 to be profitable, have a profitable business on our hands, providing execution of all these points, which we're currently working on. Like I said, it's, yeah, work in progress at the moment.
That's awesome to hear. End of 2026, did you say?
Yeah,
Um,
no, F26. But yeah, look, it
okay.
could come in sooner. But I don't like, I'm conservative and yeah. Well, what's the saying? Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, I love it. And like with that plan, what do you consider to be, I guess, the main risks and challenges to get there, or just even with PERKii in general? And on that, I guess, how are you preparing to kind of handle those?
Look, there's with any business, there's risks. For us specifically, um, yeah, look, there's what do I call it? The initial investment risk, I guess, and being completely transparent. I've worked on numbers and assumptions in other markets with other cultures that, I've done the research, but you never really know. I don't have a crystal ball. So, results might vary to our forecasts. Now, my way of mitigating this is to firstly try and diversify our revenue streams. And I touched on that before. Not only the direct sales, but also try and push, how can we sub-license this technology and get in front of other customers? And look, that's never a given. And that is not something I ever push forward as this will happen. I never do that because it hasn't happened. So yeah, look, I don't want to overpromise there, but yeah, that'll be my first mitigating factor I'd factor in. And the second would be, as it is in most businesses, we aim to overshoot the mark. I've given what's probably a conservative budget. And one of the reasons I do that is because I fully intend to overshoot the mark. And when I do that internationally, you're not quite sure where you might land. In Australia what your rate of sale is in certain channels. Over there, we're not as sure. We're a new product. No one's ever tried something like this. So, you know, I've left room to
Yeah,
overshoot, and we should hit my expectations in the budget, and everything I present falls into line, which to date has been the case. But that's been on domestic sales.
yeah, excellent. And
Um,
saying, yeah, sorry, go on.
no, sorry, I had I try to get all of the
Yeah,
risks and things that I can get in my head. Look, logistically there is also, I don't know if I call them risks anymore, but they are challenges more so. The challenge there is we have a longer shelf life than other probiotic beverage products, but we still don't have a huge shelf life when it comes to what a retailer's expectation is in Southeast Asia. I'm aware of what they're after. We've already jumped a few of the hurdles here, and we're already talking about, we're well into the stages where they're already talking, all right, your shelf life's fine. Let's, how do we do it? Do we air freight it or do we container ship it? Oh, sorry, sea freight it. There's costs associated with air freight. I guess what I'm getting at is here, because of, the shelf life and the our chilled aspect, it can become quite costly. Now, we've done the numbers 1,000 times. It can be done. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And like I said, we're in talks. We've already presented pricing to some of these people we're talking to, distributors, and they're okay with it. They're quite happy with it. But yeah, look, our margin, we never go backwards, but it does take a hit because of this, because someone has to, what would I say, absorb the hit from this. So what we're doing and how I plan to mitigate this later on is, once we get established in a market and start getting constant demand out of these retailers, I plan to start looking for a bottling facility over there. Now, all the big boys do it. We found out whether I won't mention names, but we have found the factory of some of the biggest companies in the world that produce in these markets. Whilst we're not anywhere near the same level, we do the bottlers there are interested in producing our product and bottling our product. So yeah, it's not like I'm talking myth here, myths and legends. It's been investigated. It can be done, but I have to just hold it up there right now because I need the resources to focus on driving this product into the market first. So yeah, look, they're probably our biggest challenges or risks, I could say.
Excellent. And what about your long-term goals? Do you guys have a defined potential exit strategy in mind?
Look, we as a company have always been building to be acquired or a sale, for an acquisition.
Yeah.
Something that has been brought to our attention probably in the last 2 years is that we really need to drive this company into profitability and get some international exposure. We've actually spoken to some major companies in the world, and that was a bit of the common feedback we were getting. So look, part of me breaking into these new markets is to satisfy those requirements. It's obviously to drive revenue. And, if it wasn't to get acquired, well, you know what, once we're profitable, we can stand on our 2 feet. It's, how hard do we want to go? And I can tell you from my perspective, look, we're going to go as hard as we can to take up as much of the world as we can. But in the meantime, if an acquirer came along and said to us, I like what you've done, you would fit right well into my company. There's a lot of synergies and alignment because we've actually done the numbers on how profitable we would look to a company that has bottling facilities, and it removes a massive portion of our costs. Yeah, by all means, that would be a point in where we look to exit. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. And Ray, I think that's kind of come to the end of those Q&A questions there, but is there anything that you want to add, or even if you're speaking directly to an investor, what you want to kind of say about PERKii? Anything along those lines? We can.
I like to field the questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think from my perspective, it's not so much, selling the company. I want an investor to feel comfortable with what's been presented.
Yeah.
I have not misled or, fudged any numbers in here. It's all straight down the line, and I don't want anyone, not feeling trusted in me. Like I'm a straight down the line shooter, and I want people to feel that way because it's honest that we are doing our best to achieve this goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's nothing. I wouldn't be worried about the people or the drive or the energy or what's been presented to you. It is a risky. Investments in these nature are always risky, but I think it's in good hands, and I trust myself to get it there more than anything. It's not like I'm sitting here concerned about, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? I run on conservative numbers, and I think it's achievable.
Awesome. Well, Ray, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to answer those questions and kind of interact with the investors and people on this platform. That's really awesome. It's really kind of inspiring to hear more about the brand as well, the journey, and also, like you kind of said, straight shooter kind of character like yourself, who I've got the pleasure of working with in the last couple of weeks and whatnot, and will be into the future. So that's been really good, and I look forward to this successful raise as well. And to anyone watching this, feel free to reach out if you have any more questions, or you just want to connect with me and ask anything, that I can go shoot that directly to Ray. It's been really good, Ray, and I really appreciate your time, mate.
Always, mate. See ya.